It started with a photograph. I'd noticed her pulling away, the quiet excuses, the late nights working overtime. But I convinced myself it was just the grind of life. I loved Amelia, and we'd been together long enough to weather our fair share of storms. But that photo, that damn photo, shattered everything. It was a candid shot of her at her company's summer picnic, smiling, leaning into her colleague Jason. His hand lingered at her waist, their bodies unnaturally close. My coworker Ryan had shown it to me without malice, not knowing it was a dagger to the heart. "Hey, isn't this your wife?" he asked innocently, scrolling through his phone. It was, and that wasn't platonic pose. That night I couldn't eat. Amelia came home late again, her lips painted crimson, the same way they always were when she was meeting with clients. She kissed me on the cheek, her perfume suffocating. "Long day," she said, brushing past me. My hands trembled as I cleaned up the dinner I'd made, the dinner she'd ignored. The suspicion festered, boiling into anger, then resolve. I had to know. Over the next few weeks, I pieced together the evidence. The missing intimacy, her sudden interest in her appearance, the muted giggles during her late-night calls, and then the receipts. Literally, a hotel charge on our joint credit card for a boutique 2 hours away on a day she was out of town for work. I confronted her, but she deflected. "You're being paranoid," she said, her voice cold. "Jason is just a friend." She didn't even try to mask the irritation. That's when I realized the woman I loved had vanished, replaced by someone I barely recognized. I could have walked away then, but something in me snapped. The humiliation, the betrayal. I couldn't let her get away with it. When Amelia's company announced her annual gala, a glitzy affair where spouses were encouraged to attend, I saw my opportunity. She didn't even bother to invite me. That was her first mistake. Her second was underestimating me. The night of the gala, I dressed in a tailored suit she'd picked out for me years ago. It was ironic, really, that she had once cared about how I looked. I walked into the hotel ballroom, the epitome of calm, though my heart pounded like a war drum. The room was all glitter and gold, filled with people clinking glasses and exchanging empty pleasantries. Amelia stood near the center, radiant in a red dress, laughing at something Jason said. His hand rested on her lower back, possessive. I felt a wave of nausea, but pushed it down. This wasn't the time for weakness. I approached them slowly, catching snippets of their conversation. Jason's cocky grin faltered when he saw me. Amelia's face drained of color. "Darling," I said, my voice saccharine and sweet, "I thought I'd surprise you." The tension was palpable. Jason stepped back, feigning politeness, but his unease was evident. Amelia's eyes darted around the room, searching for an escape. "Oh, I didn't think you," she stammered, "that I'd come." I finished for her. Well, I couldn't miss celebrating my wife's success. I turned to Jason, extending a hand. "You must be Jason. Amelia talks about you all the time." He hesitated, but shook my hand. His grip was weak. Yeah, nice to meet you." I smiled, letting the silence stretch. "Funny, Amelia never mentioned how close you two are." Amelia's eyes widened in panic. "Can we talk, Jack?" she hissed, grabbing my arm. "Of course," I said, my voice steady. "But first let's toast to you." I raised my voice, drawing the attention of the crowd. "Everyone, can I have your attention?" The room fell silent. Amelia's hand tightened on my arm, her nails digging into my skin. "I just want to say how proud I am of my wife." I began, my voice carrying. "She's worked so hard this year, hasn't she?" Polite applause followed. "And she's clearly made some meaningful connections along the way." I glanced pointedly at Jason. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Amelia's boss, a stern woman named Margaret, frowned, her gaze shifting between us. "Jack, stop," Amelia whispered, her voice pleading. But I wasn't done. I pulled out my phone, projecting an image onto the large screen behind the stage. It was a photo of Amelia and Jason. Lips locked outside the boutique inn. Gasps erupted. Jason turned crimson, his jaw clenching. Amelia looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. "I'm sorry to interrupt the festivities," I said, "but I thought transparency was important." especially since Amelia and Jason seem to have such a collaborative relationship. Margaret's frown deepened. Jason's co-workers whispered furiously. The humiliation was written all over his face. Amelia tried to speak, but no words came out. "You bastard," Jason finally spat, lunging toward me. Two other men held him back as I stood my ground, my expression calm. "You're ruining her career." "Oh, I think you've done it yourselves," I replied, my voice icy. "But by all means continue. Let's see how far you get." Margaret stepped forward, her face a mass of fury. "Jason, Amelia, my office. Now!" They scurried after her like chastened children. I watched them go, the weight in my chest lifting. For the first time in months, I felt in control. The fallout was swift and merciless. Jason was fired for violating the company's policy on workplace relationships. Amelia's position was reevaluated, and she was demoted to a lower-paying role in another department. She came home that night, her face streaked with mascara, and begged me to talk. You didn't have to humiliate me like that," she sobbed. "And you didn't have to destroy our marriage." I replied, my voice devoid of sympathy. "You chose this, Amelia, not me." I filed for divorce the next day. She fought me on everything, the house, the savings, even our dog. But I had a lawyer who was as relentless as I was. And in the end, she walked away with little more than her clothes. It's been a year since that night. I moved to a new city, started a new job, and even adopted a puppy. Amelia tried to reach out once, sending a long-winded apology via email. I didn't respond. Some wounds are better left untouched. As for Jason, last I heard, he'd moved back in with his parents, his career in ruins. Poetic justice, if you ask me. Looking back, I'm not proud of how messy it got, but I'm glad I stood up for myself. Life is too short to let betrayal go unanswered. And as I sit here now, watching my puppy chase his tail, I finally feel at peace.